Welcome to the heart of Afghan history, the Ghazanfar Museum, located in the ancient city of Ghazni, a city that once stood as the capital of a powerful empire, where art, culture, and learning flourished under kings and scholars. Today, the Ghazanfar Museum keeps that legacy alive, preserving priceless artifacts and stories that define Afghanistan's proud past. The Ghazanfar Museum is located in the heart of Ghazni city, the provincial capital of Ghazni province in southeastern Afghanistan, approximately halfway between Kabul and Kandahar along the main highway that once served as a vital trade and military route of the ancient Silk Road. The city of Ghazni lies on the banks of the Ghazni River, surrounded by rugged hills and a dry plateau landscape that echoes with centuries of history. This strategic location made Ghazni a crossroads of cultures, linking Persia, Central Asia, and the Indian subcontinent, a fact that continues to define its identity to this day. The museum itself stands near some of Ghazni's most iconic historical landmarks, forming part of a larger cultural and archaeological zone. Just a short distance away are the famed Ghazni minarets, tall and intricately decorated towers from the 12th century that symbolize the height of the Ghaznavid Empire's architectural mastery. Nearby lies the tomb of Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, the empire's most celebrated ruler, whose reign marked the city's golden age of power, art, and learning. The old citadel of Ghazni, a fortress overlooking the city, also stands within view, a reminder of the region's long military and political history. The Ghazanfar Museum building itself reflects the spirit of traditional Afghan architectural design, blending historical charm with subtle modern restoration. Constructed using local materials such as baked brick, clay, and stone, its structure embodies a sense of authenticity that connects it deeply to the surrounding landscape. The entrance features graceful archways, carved wooden doors, and decorative tilework inspired by Islamic geometric patterns. Inside, the design emphasizes natural light with small windows and skylights filtering gentle sunlight across the display halls, creating a tranquil and contemplative atmosphere where visitors can connect with the past. The interior layout is carefully organized, guiding visitors through a chronological journey of Ghazni's cultural and artistic evolution. Each gallery opens into the next, with displays arranged to reflect the different dynasties and periods that shaped the region's identity. Soft earthen tones, handcrafted details, and subtle ornamentation make the museum not just a space for preservation, but a living tribute to Afghan craftsmanship. The history of the Ghazanfar Museum is deeply intertwined with the grand legacy of Ghazni, one of Afghanistan's most historically significant cities. Ghazni's origins trace back to ancient times, with archaeological evidence suggesting settlement as early as the Achaemenid period in the 6th century BCE. Over the centuries, it evolved from a modest fortress town into a powerful imperial capital, reaching its zenith during the Ghaznavid Empire in the 10th and 11th centuries. Under rulers like Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni and Sultan Mahmud, the city became a radiant center of art, architecture, scholarship, and Islamic civilization, rivaling Baghdad, Bukhara, and Nishapur as one of the most important cultural capitals of the medieval Islamic world. During its golden age, Ghazni was not only the seat of government but also a cosmopolitan hub of learning and creativity. It attracted scholars, poets, scientists, and artists from across the Islamic world. Among the most famous figures associated with the city was the legendary Persian poet Ferdowsi, whose masterpiece Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, found patronage under the Ghaznavid court. Other renowned scholars like al-Biruni, the polymath historian and astronomer, also worked under the Ghaznavid rulers, conducting research that influenced science and culture across continents. The treasures of this era, from intricately carved stone panels and inscriptions to coins, ceramics, and manuscripts, reflect the sophistication and global influence of Ghazni's cultural life. However, the passage of time was not kind to Ghazni. The city endured waves of invasion, destruction, and neglect, from the Ghurid conquest in the 12th century to the Mongol invasions and later conflicts that reshaped Afghanistan's history. Many of its monuments and treasures were damaged or lost, and centuries of war and environmental erosion took a toll on its archaeological heritage. Yet, despite these hardships, the memory of Ghazni's greatness persisted among historians and local communities who sought to preserve what remained of its cultural wealth. The Ghazanfar Museum was founded as part of Afghanistan's broader effort to safeguard and celebrate its national heritage, particularly during the late 20th century when awareness of cultural preservation began to grow. Named after a respected figure in Ghazni's cultural and historical development, the museum became a sanctuary for artifacts unearthed from local palace ruins and historical sites scattered across the region. It was established to protect these priceless remnants from looting, destruction, and loss, especially during years of conflict when Afghanistan's museums faced immense challenges. The Ghazanfar Museum's architecture reflects a harmonious blend of traditional Afghan craftsmanship and practical modern restoration, capturing the essence of Ghazni's ancient artistic heritage while adapting to contemporary museum standards. The structure pays tribute to the city's medieval legacy, particularly the architectural achievements of the Ghaznavid and Ghazanfar periods, through its use of form, material, and spatial symbolism. Every element of the building, from its foundation to its decorative details, was conceived to embody a sense of continuity between the past and present. The museum's exterior is defined by warm earthen tones, achieved through the use of locally sourced baked bricks and stone, materials that have long been the backbone of Afghan architecture. The facade features arched entryways and recessed niches, echoing the design language of Ghazni's ancient mosques and minarets. The entrance portal, adorned with subtle geometric carvings and Kufi-inspired motifs, serves as a symbolic gateway to history, inviting visitors to step into a space where time stands still. The walls are thick and slightly irregular, providing natural insulation against Ghazni's hot summers and cold winters, reflecting the practicality and beauty of Afghan building traditions. Inside, the museum unfolds around a central courtyard, a design rooted in classical Islamic architecture that encourages reflection and connection. The courtyard, often planted with small trees and shaded by stone colonnades, allows natural light to pour into the surrounding galleries. This design not only enhances the aesthetic atmosphere but also mirrors the architectural spirit of medieval Ghazni, where courtyards formed the heart of homes, madrasas, and palaces. The interplay of sunlight and shadow across the brick walls creates a living rhythm, emphasizing the museum's role as a bridge between earth and history. The interior galleries are carefully arranged to guide visitors through a chronological exploration of Ghazni's cultural development. Each hall is designed to represent a different era, from pre-Islamic influences to the Ghaznavid Golden Age and beyond. The walls are painted in soft beige and sand hues, ensuring that the focus remains on the artifacts themselves. Display cases are made of polished wood and glass, crafted by local artisans, maintaining a handcrafted authenticity that complements the building's overall aesthetic. Subtle lighting illuminates inscriptions, ceramics, and sculptures with care, avoiding harsh reflections and creating an intimate viewing experience. Architecturally, the building balances simplicity with symbolism. The domed ceilings, an iconic feature of Islamic architecture, are both functional and spiritual. They help regulate temperature and acoustics while symbolizing the vastness of the heavens, a concept deeply rooted in Islamic cosmology. Small decorative tiles line the base of the walls, featuring patterns reminiscent of those found on the Ghazni minaret, establishing a visual and historical link between the museum and the monuments it seeks to preserve. On the upper level, or mezzanine, visitors can find a small library and study area, designed for researchers and students interested in Ghazni's history. The space is quiet and modest, furnished with wooden tables and shelves that hold books, manuscripts, and historical records. Large arched windows offer views of the surrounding city, the distant ruins, the dusty hills, and the silhouette of the old citadel, reminding every visitor of the deep connection between the museum's contents and the living landscape of Ghazni itself. The museum's design philosophy can best be described as living heritage. It does not seek grandeur or excess, but rather authenticity, endurance, and humility, values that reflect Afghanistan's soul. Despite its modest scale, the museum stands as an architectural symbol of cultural revival, a place where artistry, memory, and architecture coexist in perfect harmony. Each wall, dome, and doorway tells its own story, not only of the past, but of the Afghan people's enduring commitment to preserving their history. No matter the challenges, the Ghazanfar Museum houses one of the most significant collections of historical artifacts and archaeological treasures from the Ghazni region, offering a deep and tangible connection to Afghanistan's glorious past. Each gallery within the museum reveals a new layer of history, with objects meticulously arranged to illustrate the artistic, cultural, and intellectual evolution of the city from ancient times through the Ghaznavid and Ghazanfar dynasties, and into the early Islamic and medieval periods. Together, these collections form a living archive of Ghazni's role as a bridge between the civilizations of Central Asia, Persia, and the Indian subcontinent. Upon entering the main exhibition hall, visitors are greeted by stone sculptures and architectural fragments, recovered from ancient palace ruins and religious sites surrounding Ghazni. These carved stones, adorned with intricate floral motifs and geometric Kufic calligraphy, once decorated the walls of royal complexes and mosques during the 11th and 12th centuries. Many bear inscriptions praising Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni and his successors, offering rare insights into the empire's political and spiritual identity. Some panels display evidence of pre-Islamic influences, showing the transition of artistic styles as Ghazni evolved from a regional fortress into an Islamic capital of immense prestige. Another major section of the museum focuses on ceramics and pottery, unearthed during archaeological excavations in and around the ancient citadel. These items, dating from the Ghaznavid to Timurid periods, demonstrate the refinement of Afghan artisanship. Visitors can observe glazed bowls, jars, and tiles painted in vivid turquoise, cobalt blue, and cream, often decorated with stylized vegetal patterns and verses from the Quran. Some ceramic fragments are believed to have belonged to royal residences and public baths, testifying to the sophisticated urban culture that thrived in medieval Ghazni. One of the museum's most captivating collections is its assortment of coins, seals, and metal artifacts. Gold, silver, and copper coins bearing the inscriptions of various dynasties provide invaluable data on trade routes, governance, and religious symbolism. They illustrate how Ghazni functioned as a vibrant commercial hub, connecting distant empires through the Silk Road. Bronze oil lamps, jewelry, and ceremonial objects further reflect the high level of technical mastery achieved by local craftsmen. Many of these items were discovered in excavations conducted near roofs, an area rich in historical layers that once served as the heart of the Ghaznavid court. In a separate gallery, the manuscripts and calligraphy section highlights Ghazni's scholarly brilliance. Fragile yet breathtaking, these handwritten Quranic pages and historical texts are preserved under glass in controlled conditions. Written in Kufic and Naskh scripts, they showcase the refinement of Islamic calligraphy and the depth of intellectual life in Ghazni's golden age. Some texts include commentaries on astronomy, mathematics, and philosophy, reflecting the work of scholars such as al-Biruni, who once studied under Ghaznavid patronage. Their preservation within the museum reinforces the city's historical role as a sanctuary of knowledge and learning. Another remarkable display is the collection of miniature architectural models and reconstructed fragments of the Ghazni minarets and palatial gateways, allowing visitors to visualize the grandeur of ancient structures now partially lost to time. These models are complemented by photographs and 3D renderings from restoration projects led by the Afghan Ministry of Culture and International Heritage teams, giving context to the artifacts' original settings. Throughout the museum, interpretive panels and bilingual descriptions in Dari and English explain the cultural and historical background of each exhibit. The displays are arranged to engage both casual visitors and serious researchers, providing a layered understanding of Afghanistan's complex past. Smaller exhibits also include stone inscriptions, glass vessels, decorative tiles, weaponry, and textile fragments, all telling stories of royal patronage, daily life, and spiritual devotion. What makes the Ghazanfar Museum's collection truly special is not only the diversity of its artifacts but also the emotional and historical weight they carry. Every piece survived centuries of upheaval, from invasions to natural decay, and was recovered, cleaned, and catalogued by dedicated Afghan archaeologists and curators. Together, they represent the soul of Ghazni, preserving the artistic voice of a civilization that once illuminated the Islamic world. The museum's exhibits are more than historical objects. They are testimonies of resilience, creativity, and cultural pride, allowing present and future generations to see, touch, and feel the enduring brilliance of Afghanistan's heritage. The Ghazanfar Museum is far more than a repository of ancient artifacts. It is a living symbol of Afghanistan's cultural resilience, a sanctuary where the spirit of Ghazni's golden age continues to echo across centuries. Its significance extends beyond its walls, embodying the pride, identity, and collective memory of a people whose history has shaped not only Afghanistan but also the broader heritage of the Islamic world. Every object displayed within the museum serves as a bridge between civilizations, revealing how Ghazni once stood at the crossroads of empires, ideas, and art. Ghazni's historical importance lies in its role as the epicenter of the Ghaznavid Empire, which from the 10th to the 12th century brought together cultures from Persia, India, and Central Asia. Under rulers like Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, the city flourished as a center of poetry, science, philosophy, and architecture. The Ghazanfar Museum preserves the remnants of that era, pieces of stone, bronze, and manuscript that together narrate a story of a civilization built on intellectual curiosity, faith, and artistic refinement. Through its collections, the museum reveals how Afghan culture has always been deeply interconnected with global heritage, influencing and being influenced by its neighbors through trade, scholarship, and art. For the people of Ghazni and Afghanistan, the museum represents a source of cultural identity and pride. In a nation that has endured decades of conflict, displacement, and cultural loss, the Ghazanfar Museum stands as a reminder of continuity, proof that Afghanistan's soul cannot be erased. The artifacts within its walls carry not only aesthetic and historical value but also emotional significance. They remind Afghans that their ancestors built empires of learning and beauty long before modern boundaries were drawn. Visiting the museum allows citizens, students, and researchers to reconnect with this proud lineage, reaffirming the idea that culture endures even in adversity. the museum's cultural role extends beyond preservation. It also serves as an educational and inspirational space. By hosting exhibitions, research programs, and cultural events, it brings history into conversation with the present. Local schools and universities frequently collaborate with the museum to teach young generations about Afghanistan's historical achievements, from architecture and calligraphy to science and literature. These educational initiatives help instill respect for cultural diversity and heritage, encouraging youth to become custodians of their past. On a broader scale, the Ghazanfar Museum is part of Afghanistan's contribution to global heritage dialogue. Many of its exhibits mirror the artistic trends that flourished across the medieval Islamic world. Similar patterns of glazed ceramics, intricate Kufic inscriptions, and architectural motifs found in Iran, Uzbekistan, and northern India. This demonstrates Afghanistan's historic role as a cultural connector, a land where Persian aesthetics met Central Asian craft and Indian influence. The museum's preservation of this shared artistic vocabulary positions it as a vital institution in understanding the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations. The museum's importance is also deeply symbolic in the context of heritage protection. During times of war and instability, Afghanistan's cultural treasures faced immense threats from looting to destruction. The survival of the Ghazanfar Museum and its collections reflects not only institutional dedication but also the courage of local historians, archaeologists, and ordinary citizens who risked their safety to protect their heritage. In this sense, the museum stands as a monument of resistance and hope, representing the unbreakable bond between a people and their history. Beyond the artifacts and architecture, the spiritual significance of the museum resonates strongly. Ghazni was once known as the crown of the Islamic world, a beacon of knowledge and piety. The museum continues that legacy by preserving relics that testify to the city's intellectual and religious devotion. From Quranic manuscripts to decorative stonework from ancient mosques, these objects remind visitors of the city's role in nurturing Islamic scholarship and moral thought, reinforcing the idea that culture and faith are intertwined expressions of the human spirit. The story of the Ghazanfar Museum's restoration and preservation is one of remarkable resilience, dedication, and collaboration. It represents not only the safeguarding of physical artifacts, but also the revival of Afghanistan's cultural heartbeat, a commitment to protecting the memory of a civilization that has endured centuries of turmoil, conquest, and renewal. The museum's ongoing preservation efforts are both a tribute to Ghazni's glorious past and a beacon of hope for the country's cultural future. Following years of conflict and neglect, many of Ghazni's historic monuments and artifacts had fallen into disrepair or were at risk of complete destruction. The Ghazanfar Museum, like other heritage institutions across Afghanistan, suffered from a lack of resources, infrastructure damage, and the constant threat of looting. However, recognizing the city's unparalleled archaeological and historical value, the Afghan Ministry of Information and Culture, supported by UNESCO and various international partners, initiated a comprehensive effort to restore and protect Ghazni's cultural assets. This included the reconstruction of the museum building, the cataloging of artifacts, and the creation of protective storage and display systems that could withstand environmental and security challenges. Restoration work began with a careful structural assessment of the museum building itself. Local engineers, craftsmen, and historians collaborated to repair cracked walls, damaged arches, and unstable foundations using traditional building techniques combined with modern reinforcements. This ensured both the authenticity and durability of the structure. Special attention was given to preserving the building's original brickwork, wooden beams, and ornamental plasterwork, all of which reflect Ghazni's architectural identity. The restoration team also reintroduced elements such as arched corridors, clay roof domes, and carved wooden doors, which were modeled on surviving examples from Ghazni's historical mosques and madrasas. Inside the museum, conservation specialists focused on the recovery and stabilization of artifacts. Many items had been buried, broken, or partially eroded due to years of exposure and neglect. Teams trained in archaeological restoration and material science carefully cleaned, reconstructed, and documented each object. Fragile manuscripts were treated with deacidification techniques and preserved in climate-controlled display cases. Metal artifacts such as coins, lamps, and jewelry underwent corrosion removal and protective coating. Ceramic and stone objects were pieced together from fragments, sometimes requiring months of meticulous work to restore their original appearance. In partnership with UNESCO's Preserving the Cultural Heritage of Afghanistan initiative, digital documentation projects were also launched. Each artifact within the Ghazanfar Museum is now being digitally photographed, cataloged, and entered into a central heritage database, ensuring that even if physical items are damaged or lost, their information and imagery will endure. This project not only safeguards the museum's collection but also makes it accessible to researchers and historians around the world, reinforcing Afghanistan's place in the global narrative of cultural preservation, beyond structural and abject conservation. The restoration of the Ghazanfar Museum has also focused on capacity building, training local curators, guides, and technicians in modern museology and heritage management. Workshops and educational programs have been organized in Ghazni to teach young Afghans about conservation methods, exhibit design, and archival documentation. This local involvement ensures that preservation is not a one-time effort but a sustainable process, carried forward by the community itself. The surrounding environment of the museum has also benefited from preservation initiatives. Archaeological surveys have identified nearby sites linked to the Ghaznavid palaces, ancient workshops, and residential quarters. Efforts have been made to protect these areas from encroachment, looting, and urban development. Informational signboards and protective fencing have been installed to educate locals and visitors about the historical importance of these spaces. Despite limited funding and persistent security concerns, the restoration of the Ghazanfar Museum stands as a profound achievement. It symbolizes Afghanistan's determination to protect its cultural soul even in the face of adversity. Each repaired wall, each restored object, and each newly trained curator reflects the spirit of a people who refuse to let history fade into dust. Visiting the Museum in Ghazni is an experience that feels like stepping into a living chronicle of Afghanistan's ancient soul. From the moment one approaches the museum's weathered yet dignified facade, surrounded by the echoes of minarets, mausoleums, and fortress walls, the sense of history is almost palpable. The air is filled with the weight of centuries of scholars who once studied by candlelight, of artisans who carved stories into stone, and of travelers who passed through this city when it was the beating heart of an empire. The approach to the museum begins along narrow streets lined with traditional mud brick houses and small shops selling pottery, carpets, and handmade crafts, visual reminders that Ghazni's artisanal spirit is still alive. As visitors near the entrance, they are greeted by a quiet courtyard shaded by mulberry and apricot trees, where the sound of birds mingles with the hum of distant city life. This courtyard serves as both a tranquil gathering space and an introduction to the museum's architectural harmony, allowing visitors a moment of reflection before entering the historical world within. Inside, the museum atmosphere is serene and contemplative. The galleries are softly lit, with filtered sunlight that streams through small arched windows, illuminating the exhibits in a golden glow. The scent of aged wood and earth lingers in the air, blending with the cool stone floors that carry the footsteps of those who come to learn, remember, and admire. The museum's design encourages a slow and immersive journey, guiding visitors chronologically through Ghazni's history, from ancient relics of pre-Islamic civilizations to the exquisite art of the Ghaznavid and Ghorid dynasties. Each room tells a story. In one hall, visitors encounter stone carvings and decorative stucco fragments that once adorned palaces and mosques, their patterns as intricate as lacework. Nearby, glass cases display ceramic bowls, glazed tiles, and bronze vessels, each labeled with detailed descriptions in Dari and English. The museum's guides, often local historians or students, speak passionately about the artifacts, explaining their origin, symbolism, and connection to Ghazni's broader history. Their storytelling transforms objects into living voices, bringing to life the city's ancient splendor. A particularly moving section features ancient manuscripts and Quranic pages, illuminated under gentle light to protect the fragile ink and parchment. Visitors often pause here in silence, appreciating not only the beauty of the calligraphy, but the deep spiritual devotion it represents. Another gallery showcases coins, jewelry, and weaponry, offering glimpses into the economic and military life of Ghazni during its imperial height. Each display evokes wonder, how these delicate artifacts have survived countless upheavals to reach this moment of preservation. The center of the museum often becomes a place of reflection. Benches made of carved wood invite visitors to sit and absorb the atmosphere. From this vantage point, the interplay of light and shadow across the earthen walls creates a rhythm that mirrors the passage of time, a reminder that while empires rise and fall, art and memory endure. Occasionally, one might hear the faint call to prayer from a nearby mosque, blending the past and present in perfect harmony. Beyond the exhibits, the museum offers educational and interactive experiences for visitors. Informational panels and digital displays help explain the archaeological excavations of Ghazni's monuments, while touchscreens allow younger guests to explore 3D reconstructions of the city's historical landmarks, such as the Ghazni minarets and Sultan Mahmud Palace. In a small adjoining room, short documentary videos play on loop, showcasing the history of restoration projects and interviews with Afghan conservators who dedicate their lives to protecting these treasures. For researchers and students, a quiet reading area and reference library are available on the upper floor. This space contains historical texts, excavation reports, and rare publications on Ghazni's heritage. The atmosphere is peaceful. The only sounds are the turning of pages and the distant footsteps of visitors below. It's a sanctuary for scholars seeking to deepen their understanding of Afghan history. Outside the main building, the museum garden and terrace offer a breathtaking view of Ghazni's historic skyline, the twin minarets standing tall against the horizon, the ancient citadel rising like a guardian of memory. Many visitors linger here, capturing photographs or simply gazing over the landscape that once inspired poets, kings, and travelers alike. The visitor experience at the Ghazanfar Museum is not only educational but emotional. It is a journey through beauty and loss, pride and perseverance. Every artifact, every display case, and every architectural detail reflects the soul of a city that refuses to forget its brilliance. Whether one comes as a historian, a student, or a curious traveler, the museum offers more than knowledge. It offers a sense of belonging to something eternal, a reminder that culture is the heartbeat of humanity. The Ghazanfar Museum is not only a cultural landmark but also an educational and community-centered institution, dedicated to nurturing knowledge, pride, and identity among the people of Ghazni and beyond. Its mission extends far beyond the preservation of ancient relics. It actively seeks to connect the Afghan public, especially the younger generation, with their historical roots and cultural achievements, ensuring that the lessons and legacies of the past continue to inspire the future. At its core, the museum functions as a living classroom, where history steps out of textbooks and takes tangible form. For local schools and universities, the Ghazanfar Museum serves as an invaluable educational resource. Students studying history, archaeology, Islamic art, and architecture frequently visit the museum as part of guided learning programs. These visits allow them to experience direct engagement with authentic artifacts, coins minted under Ghaznavid rulers, architectural fragments bearing Quranic inscriptions, and pottery that once filled royal kitchens. Such encounters transform abstract lessons into vivid realities, deepening understanding and fostering a sense of national pride. The museum's staff, often including trained archaeologists, historians, and cultural educators, conduct guided tours, workshops, and lectures tailored to various age groups. They explain not only the historical context of the exhibits, but also the techniques used in their creation, from stone carving and calligraphy to pottery glazing and manuscript illumination. These interactive sessions help students grasp the sophistication of Afghan craftsmanship and its influence across Asia. For many young Afghans, seeing the beauty and intelligence of their ancestors' work firsthand instills a renewed confidence in their heritage and cultural identity. Beyond the classroom, the Ghazanfar Museum plays a vital role in community engagement and cultural awareness. It regularly hosts heritage festivals, public exhibitions, and art showcases, inviting local artists, poets, and craftsmen to celebrate the ongoing creative traditions of Ghazni. These events blend the ancient with the contemporary. For example, showcasing traditional music alongside visual displays of ancient instruments, or organizing craft fairs that feature pottery techniques inspired by medieval designs. Such programs reinforce the idea that heritage is not static. It is a living, evolving force that continues to shape Afghan identity today. The museum also serves as a training center for emerging professionals in heritage preservation. Through partnerships with the Afghan Ministry of Information and Culture, UNESCO, and various non-governmental organizations, it offers workshops on museum management, conservation practices, and digital archiving. Young interns from Ghazni University and nearby provinces are given hands-on experience cataloging artifacts, assisting in exhibitions, and learning about the science of artifact conservation. This empowerment of local talent ensures that Afghanistan's future custodians of culture are skilled, passionate, and rooted in their own history. One of the museum's most impactful initiatives is its outreach to rural communities. Many of Ghazni's surrounding villages hold undiscovered archaeological sites or remnants of historical structures. The museum works to educate local residents about the importance of protecting these areas, discouraging illegal excavations, and promoting cultural tourism as an alternative source of income. Through educational campaigns, pamphlets, and public talks, villagers learn how their land and history are part of a national narrative that belongs to all Afghans. In this way, the museum helps transform ordinary citizens into guardians of heritage. Additionally, the Ghazanfar Museum has become a symbolic gathering place during national and cultural holidays such as Nowruz Persian New Year and Afghanistan's Independence Day. On these occasions, the museum grounds come alive with performances, art exhibitions, and historical storytelling sessions that celebrate both the diversity and unity of Afghan culture. Elders share oral histories of Ghazni's ancient glory, while children participate in drawing contests and quiz games about the city's famous landmarks, creating an intergenerational bond through shared heritage. The museum also maintains a small research library and documentation center, open to students, scholars, and visiting researchers. It contains a growing collection of books, excavation reports, and photographic archives documenting the artifacts of Ghazni and the greater southeastern region of Afghanistan. This library not only supports academic research but also encourages local youth to pursue studies in archaeology, anthropology, and art history fields crucial for the preservation of Afghanistan's cultural legacy. Through these multifaceted educational and community programs, the Ghazanfar Museum has become a pillar of cultural revival. It is not a silent hall of relics but an active participant in the life of the community, inspiring creativity, knowledge, and unity. It bridges the gap between past and present, transforming history into a shared experience that belongs to everyone. The Ghazanfar Museum in the historic city of Ghazni, Afghanistan, stands as a symbol of the nation's enduring cultural heritage and resilience. Located near iconic landmarks such as the Ghazni Minaret, the tomb of Sultan Mahmud, and the Old Citadel, the museum blends traditional Afghan architecture with modern restoration, creating a serene yet powerful space where history comes alive. Founded to preserve Ghazni's archaeological treasures, it showcases artifacts from pre-Islamic and Islamic periods, including pottery, coins, calligraphy, jewelry, manuscripts, and architectural fragments, each piece reflecting the city's former glory as the capital of the Ghaznavid Empire. Through local and international efforts, including support from UNESCO, the museum was restored after years of conflict, becoming a model of cultural preservation and education. It now serves as a hub for students, scholars, and visitors, offering guided tours, workshops, and exhibitions that connect the community to its rich past. With its immersive galleries, tranquil courtyards, and interactive displays, the Ghazanfar Museum not only protects Afghanistan's historical treasures but also inspires pride, learning, and hope for future generations, a living testament to the spirit and legacy of Ghazni, the city of kings and scholars.